Okay, picture this. You've just pushed like a really critical update, and bam, your self-hosted Git server just
Yep.
grinds to a halt.
Oh, yeah.
Total panic.
Well, yeah. Been there.
Or maybe you're just constantly sinking hours into setting up, maintaining, securing those repos. You know,
Yeah.
time you could be spending actually building cool stuff.
Exactly. It's a common pain point.
Well, that's precisely the kind of headache AWS CodeCommit is designed to, well, get rid of. So today, we're doing a deep dive into AWS CodeCommit, our mission, to really unpack what this service offers, why it's such a potential game changer, especially, if you're already in that AWS world. At its core, it's a fully managed source control service, secure, scalable Git repositories. But the real key, I think, is that fully managed part.
Absolutely. That fully managed promise is, well, it's everything here. It means AWS handles the infrastructure, the servers, the security updates, the availability, all that stuff.
Right.
You're essentially getting a turnkey solution for source control. It takes a whole layer of risk and busy work off the table, especially when you're launching something new. You're focused on the code, not debugging the Git server itself.
That sounds brilliant, just offloading all that work. But what does managed really mean day to day? Like, are there things developers still absolutely need to keep an eye on? You said no servers, which is great, but what does that actually free teams up to do?
That's a good point. Sometimes people hear managed and think zero config ever. And while AWS does handle the heavy lifting, the servers, the scaling, the backups, you are still definitely in charge of your repo structure, your branching strategies, who gets access. That's still on you via IAM.
Got it.
But what it really frees teams up to do is focus purely on development, collaboration, code quality. Because the infrastructure just works, they can use standard Git workflows, commit, branch, merge, pull requests without a second thought about server maintenance.
And the integration.
Oh yeah, seamless integration with things like code pipeline and code build really smooths out your CI/CD. Plus, security-wise, you've got encryption at rest handled by AWS KMS, their key management service.
Oh, KMS.
And like I mentioned, that fine-grained access control through IAM, AWS identity, and access management. So you get really specific about who can push, who can merge, etc.
Okay, that makes sense. But how easy is it for someone maybe new to AWS or even just new to Git to actually jump in? How do you get started? And are there immediate benefits you'd sort of feel right away?
It's actually surprisingly approachable for beginners. If you've ever used something like GitHub or GitLab, the basic Git commands are exactly the same.
So git clone, git push, all that standard stuff works.
Yep, exactly. Git clone, push, pull it all works just as you'd expect. But there's also a pretty decent visual interface in the AWS management console.
Oh.
So you can do things like create repositories, manage pull requests, set up triggers visually, which can be helpful if you're not, a command line wizard just yet.
And cost. Is there a way to try it out?
Definitely. There's a pretty generous free tier. You get, I think, 50 gigabytes of storage and 10,000 Git requests per month. It's more than enough to get your hands dirty, experiment, and see if it fits your workflow without spending anything upfront.
50 gigs free is pretty good to start.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds robust, easy to get started with. Let's teams focus on code. What's the flip side? Are there any common gotchas or limitations people bump into when they first adopt CodeCommit?
That's a fair question. Need a balanced view, right? So while CodeCommit is really solid for secure Git hosting and scales incredibly well, it doesn't have everything built in like some other platforms. You won't find built-in issue tracking or wikis, for instance.
Okay, so no integrated Jira-like features directly in CodeCommit itself.
Exactly. But AWS tends to focus on doing one thing really well. Here, it's secure Git hosting. And they let you integrate with best-of-breed tools like Jira or your preferred issue tracker. For some teams, especially on complex projects, that separation is actually better, keeps things focused.
That makes sense. Less context switching, perhaps. Any other limits?
Well, there's technically a repository size limit. I think it's around 10 gigabits by default, though you can usually get that increased if needed. But honestly, the real power often shines when you connect it to other AWS services.
Right.
Like hooking it up to CloudWatch for monitoring repo events, pushes, merges, things like that. And CloudTrail for auditing API calls, which is super important for security and compliance. That integration is where it really stands out.
Okay, so wrapping this up then, it really sounds like CodeCommit simplifies the whole version control game, takes away the server management burden, keeps things secure, scalable, and plugs right into that wider AWS ecosystem. It really puts the focus back where it should be on your code.
Exactly. And maybe the final thought for you listening is this. If a managed service can reliably handle something as critical as your source code repositories, well, how might rethinking other parts of your development process with that same managed mindset accelerate your team's innovation? Where else could you offload the undifferentiated heavy lifting?
That's a great question to ponder. Definitely worth exploring CodeCommit further. Maybe set up a test repo, clone it down, try a few pushes and pull requests, see how it feels for your workflow. You might just free up some of those late nights spent wrestling with servers.